It's 6 in the morning, but our spirits are soaring. We all rise for our morning devotion.
Hello, and welcome to Tuning Fork, where we talk about morning devotion, a time to digest and get in tune with God's vibration.
Okay, hello everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time you're listening to this. This is Tuning Fork, and we have Julia and Gabby here, but we also have our very first guests. They will introduce themselves. So maybe Yuki, you can go first.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yuki. I'm 22 years old. I am a Bay Area resident, college graduate. I currently am working for a water utility company of the Bay Area as a junior engineer. And I am also part of CARP Bay Area. I live at the center as well and have been doing so since last August. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you. Okay, what about Karen?
Yes, hello, my name is Karen Ishiguro. I'm also a CARP member, 22 as well. And yeah, I'm originally from Seattle, Washington, but I moved to the Bay Area maybe like 2 years ago now. And I'm going to Chabot College, transferring soon as an English major. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys for your introductions. Yeah, when we were planning for this episode, Gabby and I think immediately thought of you two, and we thought it would be great to have you guys on the podcast. So, yeah, we'll just go right into it. So, I guess we wanted to ask you guys like, where did you hear about morning devotion, or what's your relationship with it like? Um, yeah, if anyone wants to start first.
I heard about morning devotion when, Dr. Yong became our continental president. I think that was like he started it right from the get-go. And at that time, I don't think I joined the first one, but like I would hear about it then and again, and about how passionate this guy was. And then I finally listened to it, and I was really surprised actually. I think that kind of spirit and energy I did not expect to for a continental leader. Uh, and then my relationship with it now. So right, one of the 7-year providential goals that America has set is to have I forgot the exact number, but like thousands of people watching morning devotion. And so for some time now, uh, CARP in general has been watching morning devotion every morning rather than doing Hinduke. And so that's what I've been doing thus far.
Wow. So have you been like consistent watching it each morning?
Well, so just recently, so in the Bay Area, CARP area, there used to be two centers, one for brothers, one for sisters. But just last weekend, we actually combined into one house. And when I was living with just brothers, we would watch morning devotion, Monday through Friday every morning. And then it was optional for Saturday and Sunday, which means I didn't watch it Saturday and Sunday. But now in the KA house is that's what we call this center where everyone lives together. They watch it every day, and so that's I watch it every day now. Or I'm
Nice.
supposed to.
What about you, Karen?
Yeah, same here. I heard about it through like when Dr. Yong first came here, and he was like, "All right, we're gonna start doing this morning devotion," and I was like, "What is that?" Like, because I don't know, it's kind of interesting. Like the first day that I got here, he started doing this like crazy condition, like, and I didn't think that it would be for so long. It's been like what 100 couple days now. Yeah, and at first, because in the East Coast, it's our time like 3 a.m. And I was like, oh heck no. Like already I was like, I'm not doing that. Or like I'm just gonna watch, the recordings. Um, and I think I didn't have like such a good attitude towards it because I would just like play it while I'm like in the car, like driving places or just have it in the background. And then I hear like, whoa, like this is some good stuff or but I wouldn't be really fully present. So I think yeah, through like having this intentional time in the morning, like I'm really grateful for the West Coast, like the 6 a.m. one, because yeah, it's definitely a time where you kind of start the day as a community. I feel like I could go on about that, but it really feels like a lot more connection when you do it with other people, like all at the same time, rather than like just me independently doing it. So yeah, I think that was something that I realized has been really nice just to come together and yeah, it kind of like kept me wanting to watch more through like having the community together. Um, yeah, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think we also all agree that it was really hard to like plug into it, like because it was so early in the morning. But the fact that they now have 6 a.m. ones for the West Coast has been really convenient for us. Yeah. Was it hard for you guys to like, I mean, Karen, you kind of mentioned about like being present because like you can definitely just like tune in or like plug into it and then, plug out and forget about what Dr. Young was saying. Did that ever happen to you guys?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. I think yeah, because his style is like, very different, or I never kind of experienced that kind of the way that he's like sharing his the content also was like new, I guess. Um yeah, but I don't know, it makes me just thinking about like all this investment that like he's putting in, like every single day he has like something new to share, and then I can't help but like want to catch the things that like he's sharing every single day. And it like makes me feel really inspired, like, well, I have to, yeah, or not I have to, but this is like my potential. Like I could be like this inspired and excited about God like every single day. Um yeah. But of course, like not every day do I like feel always inspired, but try to get there.
Mm.
Yeah.
What about you, Yuki?
Yeah, plug and play for sure. I mean, there's so many times when I'm washing dishes and listening to Dr. Young, or eating cereal and listening to Dr. Young, or taking a dump and listening to Dr. Young. So there are many times where I wasn't, really present in terms of what he's sharing. But honestly, though, like I really appreciate his style. It makes me feel like this is something that first gen were really appealed to, or maybe received when they were, first hearing True Father speak. I never actually heard a speech from True Father, so I can only imagine. But yeah, this kind of very like Korean. Uh, I don't know how to describe it, but it just like the first thing that I thought when I first heard him speak was like, this guy is so Korean, especially the onomatopoeias he uses, and the growls in his voice. but it brought so much, I guess, like a spirit of aliveness when I did pay attention and focus. And there's clear patterns and things that he emphasizes, particularly God's heart and the sorrow. I mean, just these past couple of weeks, it seems like the theme has been sorrow and suffering, which isn't maybe the most easiest thing to hear in the morning, but I think it's I think he said this one time. It's like it's reality, and it's something that we have to acknowledge. And I really appreciate it because I connect with that concept of God so much. This idea that he feels pain, because if that's true, then what am I doing to alleviate that if I understand God as a parent? So I think, just it's been helping me get really hone in on this idea of who God is as true father and true mother. I've been trying to teach, and I found it to be very profound, actually. This idea of a suffering God, it gives so much more depth to practicing a life of faith. It no longer becomes, oh, I want to receive salvation from God. I really want to be saved, and I want to go to heaven. The motivation changes from that instead to, oh, I really don't want to hurt my parent. I really want to make sure that my parent feels loved, and I can do everything in my power to make that possible. So that's something that's kind of been sticking out to me. I forgot your first question, Julia. Maybe I didn't address it, but
No, it's okay.
yeah.
Well, as you were sharing, I thought of a question because I'm realizing that both of you guys both listen to morning devotion with other people, whereas Gabby, do you listen to it by yourself?
Yes and no. That's a complicated question a little bit. But sometimes I listen to it with my dad, sometimes not, or yeah.
Yeah, because I'm curious to know if because your reflection or your conclusion was so profound, like I wonder if listening it with other people has made an impact. And yeah, outside of the actual content, does waking up early in the morning and starting your day earlier and with this kind of new practice or new habit, how has that impacted your guys' life?
Karen's nodding her head along.
Yeah, personally, I'm a morning person, so I really value my time in the morning. And so it kind of was like a hassle incorporating this new thing, morning devotion, into my morning routine. And so I had to figure out I kind of had to work my schedule around the morning devotion. Because I like to have a time of space in the morning when I just kind of reflect or kind of just start off the day just with God. And so now I wake up a little bit before morning devotion and I write down, because he said write down your 10 gratitude points every day. And so I do that before morning devotion. Because as Julia was saying, we watch it together. And so it's kind of sometimes I just, it's easy to just wake up and oh God. And then you have to jump into this gratitude breakout room. And then it's just I don't even know what I'm going to share right now. But it did affect, my morning routine, but I think for the better. I feel like I have more intention when I start the day, like, yeah, starting off just with God and then with the morning devotion. And I feel like I retain more because I'm like already awake at that time. But yeah. Mhm.
Does anybody want to piggyback off of that?
And it's dipped. Back. Yeah, it's interesting because it's not just he's not just giving content, but he's started a tradition, and with that comes things like you share in rooms and you meet people across the states. You talk to people you've never met before. Um, Naturally, yeah, you wake up early, so it has had, yeah, a pretty significant uh, impact on how I start my morning and what I've been able to receive with a normal daily day. This practice of morning devotion, and definitely for the better. Like Karen, I am also a morning person. I love the mornings so much, and the sharings are really great. It's so yeah, nice to hear from different people, especially connecting to first gen and hearing their reflections after listening to morning devotion or their gratitudes for the day. It's so clear that what's unique is like we were born into this faith, right? So we didn't really like have maybe a few of us had, but this kind of like transformative, I've really found truth or I found what I've been seeking. Um and yeah, being able to inherit some of that from these sharings in morning devotion has been really very grateful for. Like, oh yeah, what I was gonna say is like the impact that these two people we refer to as true parents have had on some people's lives become very real when I speak to people from the West Coast, especially first gen, every single morning. And I see the same faces every single morning, even if they're like 89, they're still there. They still like have so much to share. So it gives me like, yeah, I mean, of course, there are many times when I listen to it and then I forget about it as soon as I'm out of the door and I come back and then do I remember? But there are those handful of times when some I remember what was said in morning devotion and I yeah try to practice it in the day and those are so valuable because it's so difficult to receive guidance but then actually practice it in a day. Um, it's very nice listening to it and then kind of just go on. Uh, but doing it every day, this consistency, like morning devotion is not just once a week or twice a week, it's every single day, bit by bit by bit. Uh, I imagine I will get to a point where I can practice it every day, not just receive it, but practice it. So, yeah, I'm grateful for how it's affected my mornings. Forces me to wake up at the same time and sleep at the same time every day, which I heard is really healthy. Uh, so there's that, benefit as well. And yeah, the community aspect is great.
Yeah, I'm like recalling the very first episode where Monica and Jerlyn was on it and we were all like sharing and I feel like yeah, you guys were all saying very similar things in terms of like, the importance of uh watching it consistently and then also not only just like being present, but like how can you then apply, what you're soaking in into your real life to make it like reality, or just like application is really important, is as much important as, you know, listening and getting the knowledge. um, yeah. Gabby, did you want to ask any questions for them or any comments?
Comments or yeah, I think like one of the reasons why we started this podcast was because of wanting to take time to reflect together and share our reflections about morning devotion, but as well seeing like how can we practice what we're also hearing, because that's a whole nother right area. So it's I think there's a lot we can learn from each other through sharing um, and how to practice. And but yeah, one question that comes to mind is like why like for you personally, why do you join morning devotion? Like I know like that's part of like the CARP Center. That's every morning instead of Hundake, you join morning devotion as Hundake. But why do you personally um, join morning devotion?
It's a tough question.
That's a really tough question. Or it's really like sobering, or anyways, it's really yeah, real. Yeah, I guess I was recently asking myself that too, because you know, living in the CARP house or whatever, um, we do like everything together. Like we share everything together. So sometimes it's easy to have like this like group mentality, you know, like, oh, just because everyone's doing it, like I better do it too. It's the right thing to do. Um, yeah, but I was like thinking about it, like if I didn't live in this house, like would I still be doing morning devotion? Like if I were in, you know, back in Washington, would I be doing it by myself? Um, yeah, because I don't, yeah, my family like doesn't join. And so I would be like the only one doing it. So I was kind of questioning that, like like the legitimacy of my own faith. Like, yeah, would I really be doing this? And I don't know. I hope so. Because I see a lot of like the value of it. Um, like doing it every day consistently, and yeah, also just the sense of community. Like I feel like, especially in this coronavirus, you can't see many people very often. And yeah, sometimes honestly, I like kind of am not excited to like at first like go into the breakout rooms. Like every time there's a breakout room, it's just like, oh God. But then when you start talking with like, yeah, our parents' generation, or like even just second gen that are on the call, it's like really refreshing. Or yeah, like because I know people from like Washington or even like Oregon, and then yeah, it's like I realized like, wow, like we're all connected and we all believe in the same God, or like we all believe in the same values. And it's just a good reminder, like every day, that there's people like this. And yeah, this community is like, it's not just on the West Coast, but it's not just like on the East Coast. It's not just America, but like the world, you know, there's people all around this world that believe in these kind of principles. And yeah, more people that don't know about these principles. But yeah, so it's really I think that's what keeps me going every day, is just I feel a lot of value to it, like this just connection. um yeah, and yeah, maybe without morning devotion, like I wouldn't have these connections, or I wouldn't feel connected to like even some first generation. Like I feel like I have a lot more respect for yeah, the lifestyle, or like what they've gone through. Sometimes like the breakout room is like 7 minutes, and then like it's just one person like sharing the whole time. But I just want to keep listening because it's so, yeah, just like a testimony, and I really appreciate that. So yeah, and of course the content, but yeah.
it sounds really like transformative for you because like you're learning more about like your like where your values are coming from, like the history or like the roots behind it, whether it's
Mhm.
like knowing the first gen more, which is pretty cool.
And can I just it's almost like through doing it, you're also finding more of the reason why, right? Or through, like, sometimes we start something, but then the more you do it, the more you find value in it, right? So it's, yeah, because like the community aspect you wouldn't have really known or experienced until you, right, started. So yeah.
Yuki, do you want to share your response and then maybe we can wrap it up?
Yeah. For me, I have this deep need to be liked by people, and I have a fear being ostracized. So that's the number one reason. But I'm just joking. Beyond that, I did watch morning devotion uh, I lived at the center, but then when winter break rolled around, I moved back home, and so yeah, no one else was. I guess my mom would do it from time to time, watch the recordings, but yeah, I would watch it sometimes in the morning. And as Karen was talking, and as you asked that question, I was thinking about why. Um, I think there's many reasons. Why do I personally watch it? I think one is I think they're good. Like that's I honestly think they're really good. Um, that's the first thing that comes to mind. He has so much. It's kind of insane that I don't know when he plans these or when he creates these slides. For me, before I give a talk, like I need like 2 to 3 weeks to prepare. But he's busting these things out like every single day, and it's not as if like you can tell like, oh my god, like this guy definitely only put in 10 minutes of prep. Um, he finds these quotes and they're like highlighted. Sometimes I don't understand the reasoning behind certain highlights. He does like pink with green, and it's just not good for the eyes. But um, they're consistent in quality, is what I'm trying to say too. And what that shows to me is that this is a man who really is committed to serving us, his constituents in North America. So much so that he's willing to wake up every single morning, prepare good content for 40 minutes. So there's a level of respect that comes from it and admiration. Um, that's like another part of why I personally watch it, because like this is our continental director of our movement, and I feel like I'm supporting him in some small way by listening to his morning devotion. Also, because partly he's asked us to do that too. He wants more people to listen to it. And then I guess the third thing I was thinking about, like why I personally watch it too, is I think it's something personally I've realized is how easy it is to not think about God. I mean, this whole world, this whole environment, it's work, it's school. It's not really common for you to live in, a monastery. Uh, most people live in a world where you have 40-hour work week. You come home and you're tired. You have maybe you cook yourself dinner. You have 1 hour of free time, and then you go to bed, and then you repeat that day after day after day. That's not the best lifestyle for me to even want to think about God or think about faith or think about my purpose in life. So having this morning devotion, starting with that, I mean, even that alone doesn't mean that just because I watched morning devotion, wow, I'm so inspired for the rest of the day. Still, there's so many days where I'll listen to it and then immediately after I forget about it. So it just speaks to the tendency, the human nature to just focus on what's immediately in front of me and not so much these kind of bigger values that I do value. I say I value, but I say I value God. I say I value my family and my friends and wanting to serve the world, but do my actions reflect that? And because I know it's so difficult to practice that, I know that's why it's so important to involve myself in things that can just make myself that much more committed to doing what I just described earlier about what I said about values. So it centers me. It helps me want to practice the things I know I value. Right, mind and body unity is essentially what it comes down to. So those would be like, yeah, my personal reasons. But yeah, number like, dude, they're good, man. Like I think they're really good. He speaks with so much fervor and passion. It's yeah.
You sound like a Dr. Young's fan.
Yeah, I'm turning a
For one
poster
fan.
of him. Bring fans.
Fan club. Anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on and sharing and just chatting with us, and being super flexible and going with the flow. Yeah, Gabby, did you want to make the concluding remarks?
Yeah, so we went or talked about quite a few different things, but I can really see that there's morning devotion is transforming our souls, and through both Yuuki and Karen, both of your sharing, that it's really uplifting the spirits and having this more determination to do more and to try to practice and to all of that. So hopefully through listening to this podcast that it can encourage you to listen to morning devotion if you haven't done so already, or have conversation with other people about morning devotion, because there's a lot we can gain and learn, and the biggest thing is how can we practice it. So yeah, so thank you, Karen and Yuuki, for joining us. Happy to have you here.
Yep.
Julia, you want to?
Yeah, for our last like concluding thing, this is the first time we're gonna try this, but basically we like each of us will say our name, and then I can say tuning out.
Thank you, Naomi Sharf and Faith Wong, for creating our jingle. If you'd like, you can tune in to Morning Devotion with the links in our bio and hopefully be a guest on our podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope to see you on our next episode of Tuning Fork.
This was Julia.
Gabby.
Yuuki.
Aaron?
Tuning out.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Thank
you.
you.